Okay, thank you so much. Welcome again to the MNJ podcast. And today we are talking about investing in Zambia. And today my guest is Fadzai. Fadzai, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about investing in Zambia. Generally, how do you see Zambia as a country?
Well, Zambia is a very good investment destination, particularly now that with the new regime change that recently happened, the economy is now very stable. And one thing that you also need to know about Zambia is that it's strategically positioned, bordering with approximately 8 countries, which include your Namibia, your Angola, your DRC. So the moment you step into Zambia, it then becomes your gateway into the Southern African region. So it's a very good investment destination that one should really consider.
Okay, so obviously when an investor wants to invest in a country, the key thing they start to look at are the sectors which are performing well. Mm-hmm. Any sectors you can say they are doing really well in Zambia, which sectors are these ones?
Well, generally the economy is very stable, like I highlighted, and we've got quite a number of sectors that are coming up and growing, particularly the renewable energy sector. And with the new statutory instruments that were introduced on renewable energy, it even becomes more lucrative for you to invest in Zambia, particularly in the renewable energy. We also have sectors like your agriculture, sectors like your construction, because there is a lot of development that is happening in Zambia, which becomes an opportunity for construction companies to even set up and have an opportunity to build the infrastructure that is going on.
Yeah, so today we have an expert in the house, because many people, they just go on Facebook, post, invest in Zambia. Mm-hmm. So any misconceptions people have about setting up a business in Zambia?
Yes, just like any other African country, most people think when you think of Africa, you're thinking of your South Africa, your Nigeria. They think those areas are lucrative. But looking at Zambia, it's an economy that wasn't very popular for most of the investors. But looking at where it is now, it's a destination that one should consider. And much of the misconception is that it's still a growing economy and it's not very lucrative. But from my experience in the past years, I've actually noticed that Zambia is more lucrative than any other African country. And also their political platform is very stable, such that you don't need to worry about policy changes every now and again. Their policies are well communicated and well articulated, particularly favoring the investors as well.
Okay, so do you think Zambia is offering enough incentives to the foreign investors in terms of doing business in Zambia?
Oh, yes, it is. It is. With the support of the Zambia Development Agency, the ZDA, which is an organization that is specifically set for investors who want to set up in Zambia. There are also different incentives that have been introduced by the government, like your tax holidays, your tax-free or your duty-free on certain machinery, as well as that foreigners are also capable of setting up their companies in special economic zones, which include your Lusaka East, your Lusaka South. And for special economic zones, there are certain tax advantages or tax benefits that you get to experience if you set up in such regions. So there are quite a number of incentives that one can actually take advantage of as you set up in Zambia.
Many organizations struggle because their information is scattered. Accounts in one place, HR in another, inventory somewhere else. This creates confusion, duplication, and costly mistakes. An ERP system, enterprise resource planning, brings everything together. It integrates finance, HR, sales, supply chain, and operation into one connected platform. This means leaders can see the full picture of the business in real time, instead of waiting weeks for manual reports. Decisions become faster, smarter, and based on accurate data. ERP also improves efficiency. Staff spend less time chasing paperwork and more time focusing on growth. Errors drop, productivity rises. From tracking stock to paying employees on time, ERP makes sure that all departments work together instead of in silos. ERP isn't about technology alone. It's about building a well-organized business that's ready to grow.
So can you maybe highlight key steps of setting up a business in Zambia for those who want to maybe set up their businesses in Zambia as well.
Okay. So as you step into Zambia, you would want to know that after the full business setup, there are sector-specific licenses, but I'm just going to take you to the basic setup until you can start operating. So we've got two types of companies that one can get to register in Zambia. We've got a foreign company, and we also have a limited liability company, your LLC. So for a foreign company, we are saying that you're taking your parent company or your native company. Let's say you got incorporated in Botswana or in Zimbabwe or in South Africa. So you're taking the company from that country to get incorporated in Zambia, to get registered in Zambia. So if you're registered in Zimbabwe, you're taking your Zimbabwean company documents to get incorporated in Zambia. Let's say we've got Peter Investments Zimbabwe. If you're going for the foreign company, when you get into Zambia, it will now be registered as Peter Investments Zambia, meaning the Zambian company is a branch of the Zimbabwean parent company. Okay. Yes. And then the second type of a company would be your LLC. So an LLC, limited liability company, is a local company where you're basically starting from scratch, from your name searching. Once the name is approved, you then submit your application. So both companies work interchangeably well, but for a foreign company, it's easier for you to transfer your profits from Zambia to the parent company easily because these companies are related. But what you need to take note for a foreign company is that you're maintaining the same shareholding structure. You're also maintaining the same directorship, but you need one local native or local Zambian director. And then for an LLC, we need a minimum of at least 2 shareholders. This can be entirely foreign, but they just have to be 2. The 2 can either be individuals, a corporate body, or a family trust. And you also need to maintain a ratio of 1:1 when it comes to directorship. So the 1:1 will be for every Zimbabwean or for every foreigner that you appoint as a director. You also need a corresponding Zambian director. Once we are done with the PACRA registration, which takes about 3 to 5 working days, you then move to registering with the ZRA. The ZRA is the organization that gets to manage or govern the taxes. So you get your tax clearance, you get your taxpayer identification number, your TPIN. Once you're done with that, you then proceed to opening a bank account. And once you open your bank account, there are also other statutories that are mandatory. That will be your NABSA for pension funds, your workers' compensation for any injuries that may happen at work, as well as the NEMA, which is basically the government's medical scheme for employees to access affordable healthcare. So these are the basic steps. Once you have done that, you can operate. But for certain sector-specific licenses, like let's say you want to venture into renewable energy, you do need to get your license with the Energy Regulation Bureau. If you want to venture into telecoms, you also need to register with ZICTA for you to get your license. So it really depends with the sector that you want to venture into, such that there are certain sectors that need sector-specific licenses, but there are also other sectors that you can just operate with the basic papers that I've just outlined.
Okay, so a major question most people have regarding having share directors 1:1, does it apply only to directors only or shareholders as well?
No, it's just directors. Like I said, you can actually have 100% foreign ownership. So we're saying if we decide to start a company, we can actually retain our 100% ownership. To say I've got 50, you've got 50, or I've got 40, you've got 60. For directorship, that's where we need to maintain a 1:1 because many people confuse shareholding and directorship. Shareholders are the people who hold the stake in the company. This can be foreign, but for directors, these need to be maintained at 1:1 or 50-50.
So what challenges are investors facing when entering into the Zambian market?
Well, most of them engaging with people who supposedly or masquerade as consultants, but they end up advising them the wrong things, like that you need to have a local shareholder in Zambia. Some of them are cutting corners, thinking that whatever they do in their local country, they can also get to do in Zambia. They don't They don't emphasize on due diligence. They also don't emphasize on compliance issues. They also don't emphasize on the full processes that they need to take part in. So many people are struggling in regards to that. And another thing that people are ignoring is the difference in culture. In as much as probably you are an African who wants to set up in Zambia, in as much as we are both Africans, each country has got their own unique culture, their own unique working culture, business culture. These differ, and you shouldn't just assume that just because we're all in Southern Africa, it's the same. It's a completely different platform that you need to familiarize with, and then you find your feet there.
So, Faz, there may be an entrepreneur who want to set up in Zambia right now. Kindly tell them any mistake they should be avoid when setting up in Zambia.
Okay, so the major mistake is to confuse the shareholders and directors, like I highlighted. Never include a Zambian shareholder, assuming that that's being compliant. You can have your 100% foreign ownership. And another mistake or anything that I should teach the investors is that you should never jump steps in regards to compliance. You just need to make sure that you've got all your paperwork, everything is intact so that you get to operate freely.
Okay, thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
All right, thank you so much, Peter. It's a pleasure to have me here. I hope we have a lot of investors wanting to register their companies in Zambia.
Sure. Thank you so much, our guest. I hope it was insightful and you learned a thing or two. If you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe, share. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.